great tip, but he's not wrong.
What is up, guys? It is Simba here, and welcome back to WOR content on the channel. And today it is round number 3 and 4 for the Monaco and Las Vegas Grand Prix, and you're going to see why I've made the 2 races into one video. But we're going to start off in Monaco in qualifying, and if you go on to enjoy this one and want to see more league racing content, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more league racing content. There'll be plenty more to come towards the end of this year and in 2024 as well, when leagues get up and running again. But here we are in our first lap in qualifying, and it's Monaco. So as you guys know, we have scored no points in the first 2 races in WR Tier 2, and Monaco on a pad is very difficult. So we're going to have a tough time of it if you want to try and get off the board this season. But this first sector, it looks quite clean, but it's actually not that great. It's 18.3. We missed the apex completely into that corner, and we kind of just get the hairpin all wrong as well through Mirabeau and the hairpin. As we go through Portier, we kind of just decide to back out by the time we get into the tunnel, and that lap is in the bin. And we're going to try again, as we're going to make a very smooth transition back to the tunnel and on a second lap. So Monaco, you can fuel up for like 5 laps, and it allows you to do at least 3 laps. And as you can see, we drift our way through the chicane, but we get the second part of it wrong as we almost go into the wall on the outside. But we're still keeping it clean. Purple in both sectors, which I am not really believing, as we get very close to the wall through the swimming pool section, through Rascasse and into Anthony Nogues, the final corner of this famous circuit. Open DRS one final time, and across the line we go. It is going to be P6.
Shocking. I don't know how that's P6.
And as you can hear, that lap was shocking, and I am surprised that we're P6. We're down in P11 now, and this is going to be our best lap of the session, and one of the best laps of the season from our point of view. So let's take you round. Open DRS and spot the black box on the left hand side into Sandevot. No heroics through there. We cut the corner very nicely, and we get a very nice exit as well, and we're already nearly half a tenth up. Into the Casillas square we go, left and then right. Easy to put in the wall on the right hand side, but we get away with it, and it's an 18.1 in the first sector, so nearly 2 tenths faster than the first one we did, but it's a few hundreds down on our previous attempt as we drift our way through the hairpin. We get it done properly this time, and we found a tenth and a half as we're just drifting this car through the streets of Monaco. We get a decent run out of Portier, but we lose a little bit of time through that sequence of corners. But going into the chicane, watch this. Down the gears, 3rd gear, absolutely perfecting the drift and the turning point, and look at the time that we have gained. Nearly 6 tenths of a second, but we hit the wall a little bit at the back corner, and through the swimming pool, nicely done. We got a little bit wide, and again we hit the wall on the exit as we get through Rascasse now and into Anthony Nogues. It's been a little bit scruffy in the 3rd sector, but we nailed that chicane, and that's basically the difference between the first and the last lap. And across the line, it's P4 with an 8.9.
That last lap moved you into P4. Great job.
We take those?
And that was enough for 5th on the grid. But as you can see, we're going to move on to Vegas. And the reason for that is the race itself in Monaco was an absolute disaster. We got damaged 4 times, thanks to little errors, and it cost us our starting position. So we're going to move on to Vegas. No points again in Monaco, and we're looking to try and get on the board here. The thing is with Vegas is, 1, I hate this track because of the lack of grip that it has. And the second thing is, well, we didn't do much practice. Only an hour's worth. So we're going to get effectively blind compared to everyone else. And across the line, it's a 131.6. And that puts us into the top 10, into P9. But that lap wasn't really good, as we're going to try again on our second attempt. That corner there, you don't even know. I don't even know where the braking point is for there. But apparently it's in the TV monitors on the top right hand side of the screen. So yeah, not really much of a breaking point to go off, but we're finding some really good time in the first sector. 2 tenths up of 43.7 is okay. It's not phenomenal, it's not groundbreaking, but through this difficult left-hander, we hit the wall on the entry, we scutter our way over the curb.
I did not mean to do that, I just turned in way too early.
And somehow we don't lose too much time from that, but it is very scruffy. And the main thing is, with getting through this middle sector now, we're going towards the split, and it is a 1 minute 9.6, so Again, it does the job, but it's not phenomenal as we go through into this difficult braking zone, the chicane. We just missed the apex a little bit. Nicely done on the traction. And there you go, on our way now towards the line. Another long straight, nearly 3/10 up on this lap. So let's see where it puts us over the line. And it is P8 with a 31.3. And also, we're ahead of the championship leader, Cameron Dodds, who's won the first 3 races this season. He has clearly shown himself to be the fastest driver on this grid, and we are pretty much ahead of him in qualifying, despite not practicing. So there's another proud moment for us in this video. But I'm sure he's willing to improve along with us as we're starting the final lap of this session. It's the usual car park in Sector 3, but we're going to go and try and give it our best shot and see if we can get any higher.
Not ideal track position, but oh well. We'll go again anyway.
And you can hear me say that it's not the ideal track position. There is a car slightly ahead of us, but we're going to give it a go anyway. Down into turn 1, 4th gear. Make sure you get near the apex. Try and get in the early as throttle as early as possible. We have a bit of a moment, but we managed to find some time. But this right hand is a little bit scruffy. I don't think we carry enough speed through there, but it's still solid nonetheless. And we are half a tenth up, making our way down towards this 90-degree right-hander. We missed the curb a little bit, but the exit is okay. And again, we are still making time up in the first sector through this difficult braking zone. Now try and be a bit braver on the brakes as we climb the curb there a little bit, which is a bit scruffy. Go a little bit wide on the entry. We get a decent traction, but, you know, a little bit scruffy. There's a few tiny errors there, but it doesn't stop us from finding half a tenth. It's a 43.6 in the first sector. Making our way down towards this heavy braking zone, and we miss the apex, we miss the curb, and we lose time by just slightly drifting away from the apex. And now we are half a tenth down effectively. We opened DRS a little bit late, so that's going to cause us to drain just a little bit more time on this long straight. So we've got it all to do in the final chicane. Not making up much time in the middle sector. And now we're going to have to try and make up through the chicane. Heavy braking down to 3rd gear. Make sure you cut that curb nicely. And it looks like we've got a much better run than last time through that section. And can we find a marginal improvement here? It's going to be really close with the delta up towards the line. And we managed to find an improvement.
What can you do? We're somehow P10.
And you can hear me say, we're somehow P10, and that's where we end up in the end of qualifying. And again, second race in a row, we've qualified in the top 10. But now it's time to focus on the race. Hard tyres on the wagon, and we're going to see how we do in the race. The pace isn't feeling great. We haven't done much practice, but we're in the top 10. So that means it's a good chance to get some points finally. Let's see how we do around Vegas. 5 red lights ahead of us. And the Vegas Grand Prix is underway in WOR, and it's a pretty decent getaway. We're looking to see if we can challenge Flotman and Cameron Dodds going into the first corner. There's a car on our outside. I believe that is the Haas of Dawid trying on the inside of us going into turn 3 now. We go very wide, giving him the inside line, and we've lost the place. We're still banging wheels with the Haas, trying to use the overtake button, trying to get ahead of him going into the braking zone here. Heavy braking down to 3rd gear. Let's see if we can try and get any places. There's a Ferrari round. There's contact. There is quite a bit of carnage going on. And we've managed to get out of it unscathed. And we're up into P9. We're still side by side with Dawid going into this chicane.
No worries, David. Just...
And you can hear me being sarcastic with the Haas driver as I say no worries as he hits us out of the way and squeezes out to get the place. And now we've got the Mercedes of NPR Lucas trying to up the inside at the end of that first sector. But we managed to keep ahead of the Mercedes driver. And we have managed to gain a place in this race. And we're into P9. But we get a really scruffy run through that left-hander. It's so difficult to get that corner right because if you don't straighten your car before the braking zone, you're just going to drift through into the wall, or you're just going to miss the corner like we did just there. And Lucas overtakes us, and now you can see everyone's using their battery. You can hear me saying in the background, everyone's draining down the straight, and we're having to do the same thing as the Alfa Romeo makes contact with the Mercedes car. We have to again squeeze our way through, and we've managed to survive for the time being. But Flotman does get on with it. He does overtake us, and he's fighting Lucas at the end of lap 3. We're going to see if we can have a little look on the inside at turn 1, but nothing quite doing as Lucas goes very wide through the first corner, and that did give us a slight moment of an opportunity. We see he goes wide again through the right-hander, and we're going to use the DRS and the overtake button to complete the move, and just like that, we're back into the top 10. A completely unforced error from the Mercedes driver allows us to swoop past him again and get back into the points paying positions. So still P10, we're looking quite decent in terms of DRS as well. So yeah, we're not feeling too bad at the moment. It's just keeping up with Flopman, which is going to be the challenge, and he's been showing himself to be very quick along with a lot of other drivers in this tier. But on to lap 5, you can see that we've just got about 50% ERS left, which is not too bad, but this is where we're mainly losing out to everybody else. It is this long 1.4 mile straight where DRS is enabled. And the reason for that is because I actually found this out later in the race. You'll see for yourself later as we let the Williams go, is that WR has park firmware settings turned off. So that means people can change their setups from qualifying to the race, and I think people have definitely turned their wings down for the race, and I don't think I followed the memo. So as you saw there, Zorzo just passed us very easily, even though we had DRS as well. So the straight line speed might be lacking, but we are, you know, gaining time in the corners, so that's how we're compensating compared to everybody else around us. And the main thing is, we're also still within the main train, which is very encouraging, because the last 2 races we've basically been stuck in the midfield and we'd lose the train over time. So it's not looking too bad at the moment. ERS isn't looking great either, but on to lap 9, we're still P11 and still with the main train, and the pit stop phases are beckoning as Dawid hits the wall at the exit of that chicane, and he's going to box. So I'm assuming he's got damage, and we're up into the points paying positions once again at the end of lap 9 on to lap 10. So we are doing alright in this race here, considering I don't like this track. We're not doing a bad job of it at all, but this is where things are going to get a little bit complicated for us, because as you can see, on to lap 10, we're still in 10th place with Flopman and Zorzo just in front of us. But this is where I make the realization that we are very, very slow down this long straight.
Look at that, that is disgusting. That is disgusting straight line speed. I'm not recharging much at all. Absolutely ridiculous.
So as you can see, they're flying away from us there down the straight. And my main concern is that we're not really charging enough ERS either to try and, you know, keep up with these guys. So we're just using a lot of battery and we're not really gaining it back, while these guys are probably saving battery and using it all down the straight, and we're just losing a lot of ground. Someone else has pitted as well. And on to lap 11 again.
Oh dear. We're going to start dropping back a lot now. I just don't understand how they're so mighty on the straights. Look at that. We've just dropped 5 tenths on the straight. Awful.
And you can hear my frustrations becoming more and more clear as we're dropping a lot of time down this straight. And on to lap 11, you can see Flopman is going to pit for a set of medium tyres. And in hindsight, I wish I followed him. You can see I was about to try and follow him in, but instead I decided to stay out. And this is a similar mistake I made in SLR Kota, where I'm not really feeling the pace. I'm not really, you know, making myself known to be fast around here, and I'm deciding to do an overcut on people. That isn't just going to work, because we simply just do not have the pace. It's simply not going to work with it. So yeah, it's not really a great decision. We should have followed him in, and you're going to see why by the time we get to lap 13. This is our pit stop lap. Our teammate boxed the lap before, and that was the lap I wanted to pit. So we have to do one more lap, and inevitably that means we're going to lose a lot of time to everyone around us. So it's not going to be an easy final stint, and this here basically ruins our race, because we're going to fall out with the train as we do a lovely drift into the pit lane.
Fuck yeah, no.
And we managed to get away with that very nicely as we fit on a set of medium tyres to the end of the race. But you can hear me say in the background, we're going to be joining like in no man's land effectively. we've managed to get this pit stop lap horrendously wrong, and as a result, you can see we're like 3-4 seconds behind Dawid, who pitted on lap 9 effectively, and even ESV Bobbitt in the McLaren has gained 2 seconds on us, and he was like 5 seconds back. So yeah, we've managed to get this strategy completely wrong, as we get the silliest warning you'll ever see in league racing. I don't know what I was doing there, but you can see it doesn't take long for Bobbitt to find his confidence and actually catch up with us as we get our second warning for track limits. But thankfully for us, Dawid has fallen up with the train, and I think he's got damage, so he's going to box for a second time in this race, and that puts us into the points paying positions once again in P10. But the problem is we are a long way off everybody else. You can see Flopman in the minimap there. He's in a queue with a Red Bull and up ahead, like in the main train. So I feel like if we did box at the same lap as him, we might have been able to gain just a bit more track position and maybe just seal a points playing position a little bit easier. It would have been a bit calmer. But now we're dealing with the McLaren of Bobbitt, who goes flying past us on the back straight with DRS, and that is him up into P10. And basically we kept on swapping places for the majority of the race, and not much was happening. You can see here by lap 23 we've saved up a lot of battery, still on 2 warnings, but there's a yellow flag in front of us, and it's Danielle and I think Flopman have had a collision. So
I was going to be in limbs if that Aston had damage. Flopman's out though. We're in the points. Beautiful.
We are in the points in this race. Flopman had a collision with Danielle, the pole sitter, and he got a 5-second penalty for spinning in the pit lane earlier. So yeah, Bobbitt's race fell apart in the second half. It looked like he was going to be one of the main dangers in this race to maybe win it and stop Dodds' winning streak. Meanwhile,
where have they gone? Adios. Thank you very much.
we will happily take P9 on the last lap of the race. You can see we're quite close to Danielle in the Aston Martin, like 2.4 seconds ahead, but it's not going to be enough to catch him right at the end. So we're going to take P9 here, as Alex Marciano has won the race in the Williams. So Dodds' winning streak is over, but for us, we're finally going to be on the board in WR this season in Tier 2. We're going to cross the line in P9 and score our first points of the season.
Finally off the board. There we go.
And there you go, we finally get points in WR this season, and it's P9 in the Vegas Grand Prix, despite not getting much practice in as well, so not too bad. We weren't really quick at all, and yeah, that's with the lack of practice, but yeah, glad to get off the board. I am not too happy with the fact that we were with the main train and we finished about 15 seconds behind, so there's always room for improvement, but I feel like the last 2 races, it's shown sparks of what we can do. You know, Monaco, we got that spot on, but a few small mistakes took the result away from us, and here we managed to maximise the result with no practice. So hopefully, you know, we can keep building results like this and prove why we are in the second highest tier in WR. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. Subscribe for more league racing content, and as always, I'll see all of you in the next one.